started. What's the hold up?
No, we started now. Hey, y'all. How are y'all doing? This is a special of the BOFA Sports webcast. So you see me, Charles Taylor, and Patrick Brackett is with me for this show. And we are going to spend a few moments. Don't really know how long this show is going to go, but we wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about the NBA because we really hadn't touched on it too much, not outside of a few minutes from one of the webcast episodes we had a few weeks ago when the season was starting up. So here we are, Patrick. Huh?
I said specials.
Special. So, so here we are to talk a little bit about the first month. It's crazy that the season is almost a month old. And right now, what is going on is the NBA or the Emirates, the NBA Cup. So basically, what they are calling the in-season tournament right now. So you have a bunch of group games going on tonight. Of course, last year the Lakers won the first tournament to see if they can win it this year. But this is also just an overview of what's been going on and really talk about if anybody can knock off the Boston Celtics from the championship perch. So, of course, last year the Celtics won over the Dallas Mavericks in 5 games, and they returned everybody, pretty much everybody from the team they had last year, and they are doing pretty good right now. But you know who's doing even better right now, Patrick? The
Surprise,
Cleveland Cavaliers.
Cleveland, who is undefeated.
Yeah. 13-0 right now. And they look like I've seen a couple of the games.
They win at home, they win away, they win. They just win.
They are looking pretty good. I mean, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are playing well together in that backcourt. And one of the big keys with their team so far, we'll see if he can stay healthy, but Jared Allen being in the middle has given them a different dynamic they didn't quite have last year because he was in and out of the lineup, and also the emergent or the continued development of Evan Mobley has really helped them as well. So with that said, we are a month in, so we'll see if Cleveland can keep up this pace. But in the Eastern Conference, Patrick, do you see when it is all set and done, and we are here coming up on May and June when the playoffs start and ultimately we get to the NBA Finals, do you see anyone in the Eastern Conference knocking the Boston Celtics off?
Well, I mean, obviously, a lot of people are going to look at this show and go, well, hindsight's 2020, you know. Okay. First of all, nobody saw Cleveland, so I'm going to pretend like Cleveland's not 13-0 right now. Okay. Then I'm going to give you my thoughts on a 13-0 Cleveland. Because, like you said, can Jared Allen keep up with what he's doing this year? He has shown that he has this ability. But let me tell you, before I go into what I was going to say, Jared Allen is playing a different type of basketball this year. He's not asked to do a lot. He's just asked to stay in the middle. Just stay in the middle. We don't need you running out and doing mid-range jump shots. We don't need you running out trying to do three-pointers. We don't need, just stay in the middle, give some blocks, clog up the holes, and we'll feed you the ball when you're open. And that's what they're doing. And he is very good. I mean, like, he's not having to do much in there. So I kind of continue to see him continue to play like this throughout the rest of the year. But before Cleveland was 13-0, and I know we probably should have done this show a month ago, but
we touched on it, but not all.
I did not see Boston getting beat. I kind of seen them running. I mean, they were going to take some losses. I mean, nobody's going to go through the entire, Cleveland's doing 13-0, but they're going to take some losses eventually. But I kind of felt that Boston was going to run the gauntlet and they were going to go deep into the playoffs. I know we're going to do a playoff show probably a little later. Maybe Stan gets on. But I kind of see Boston running the gauntlet and being that Eastern Conference representation yet again, because there's nothing that's really stopping them. Like you said, they got everything was signed last year, so everybody's returning, and everybody's playing at a high level. You know, my Hawks beat them a couple of days back, so I was good with that. You know, but most of the teams in the East, they're sub 500. You know what I mean? You only have two teams really that's above 500 right now. Two teams, maybe three.
Yeah, Cavs, Celtics, and the Orlando Magic.
The Magic. Okay, so you got three teams that's above 500, and the East is weak, and it's really there for the taking for Boston, or Boston to lose, really, because they're the favorites. So I really don't see anybody taking Boston out. I mean, even at this point, with them being 3 games behind Cleveland, I don't see Cleveland sustaining this type of play. I mean, like, you know, no team has ever went 80 and 82 and 0. So, you know, Cleveland is doing some amazing things, and they're playing amazing basketball. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like, there's some close games they had. I think they had one with the Bucks that was pretty close. And they had one with another team that was pretty close. I can't think of who it was. But for the most part, Cleveland's dominating most of their competition on the road and at home. So Cleveland is doing some really good things right now. And shout out to Cleveland, because whatever they're doing, it's working right now. But I'm curious of what happens to a team like that after All-Star break. That's where I'm always kind of, how does that team continue to play? Are they gonna try to make some moves? Because, you know, these other teams are going to try to make moves right around the trade deadline. You know what I mean? So are they going to try to make some moves, or are they going to try to stay with what they got? How does that play out? You know, after All-Star, when you've had a week off, how does that play out? Injuries are always going to be a factor. You always have to take those into consideration. So, you know, we all know Jared Allen is a injury, is one step away from an injury, because that's what he is. He's a walking injury. Can he stay healthy? You know, you obviously want him to, you know, but we'll see how that goes. But even with all that said, I don't see anybody that can topple Boston. And then you also have to remember, when we get to the playoffs, it's not just a one and done. It's a 7-game series. You have to beat Boston in a 7-game series. I don't know if a team can do that yet.
Yeah, I don't see it right now. I mean, I just look at the teams that are out there in the East, and yeah, I don't really see anybody.
Nobody has that Mamba mentality that you've got on your wall.
Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, but yeah, I you know, yeah, exactly. I don't really see a team in the East that could do what you were talking about, beat the Boston Celtics 4 times in a 7-game series. You have your, I guess, candidates, or at least people or teams that people might have thought could dig, but it's not looking good right now.
Knicks being one of them. I think the Bulls were a part of that conversation at one point.
I don't remember the Bulls being there, because the Bulls.
Was it not the Bulls? Who was it then?
So you got the Knicks.
The Knicks, Pacers. The Pacers. That's who I'm. That's who I'm thinking.
Yeah, because the Bulls, the Bulls, I don't know what they're trying to do right now. Like, the Bulls look like one of those teams that are searching for an identity. Now, DeMar DeRozan left. He went to the Sacramento Kings, which I think, as good as DeMar has been over his career, I think the Bulls get better with that move. And here's why.
I do too.
Before everybody wants to sit here and come on here and kill me for saying I'm slandering DeMar DeRozan here. It's not what I'm trying to do here. But when you had him playing with Zach LaVine, they're two of the same player.
Mm-hmm.
And You have both guys who need the ball in their hands to get the maximum effectiveness out of them. I mean, they're basically playing the same position. So if you move one of these guys, you have Lonzo Ball coming back, and hopefully he can stay healthy because he's missed the last 2 seasons. But if he can stay healthy, you have a guy who is a distributor, a floor general, somebody who can get everybody else in the right spot. I just think with him in there, with Levine, and then their big man, Nikola Vujovic, they can actually start to put a few things together. It actually looks like they can create some sort of an identity there in Chicago now.
Yeah.
Not enough to knock someone like the Celtics off, but maybe they have something developing there. The Pacers, going back to them, they went on a run a lot of people weren't expecting them to go on. I don't think a lot of people had the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals like they were last year. And even though they did get swept in that series by the Celtics, 3 of those games they could have won, like really easily. They were up.
Honestly, they should have won that game 1, honestly.
Yeah, the game 1 is definitely one of those 3 they should have won. Games 3 and 4 in Indianapolis, they could have won those because they had leads late in both of those games as well. So,
but when you miss your last 12 shots in game 1,
Jaylen got loose on a 3 to tie it up too, and it was some good defense by Siakam. But I mean, Jaylen Brown just hit a tough shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they can, Indiana has a lot of their people returning as well. Tyrese Halliburton, we know what he has developed into, one of the better players in the league now. Still have Miles Turner. They have guards, good guard play as well. So Indiana should be, I think they'll be a threat. I know a lot of people are looking at the Knicks to be a threat. The thing with the Knicks is I don't trust Tom Thibodeau as a coach. It's not that he's a bad coach. I think he just needs to play more people. And when you start shortening rotations, especially against,
he's only playing 7 right now that I saw.
Yeah, I mean, generally he's around 7 or 8 players.
He should be playing 9.
And so you're not really going to do too much when it gets into the playoffs because those players, I mean, they're human. They get tired. So you need to take the regular season to see what you do have on the bench. And when it does come time for the playoffs, it's not a situation like what happened to the Knicks last year. Yeah, players started to get hurt. Brunson started to get hurt.
And he played through injury.
Yeah, on Anunoby, he got hurt. I mean, there's a lot of people. Mitchell Robinson, he couldn't stay in the lineup. So you had a lot of people who were getting hurt, and now it turns into a situation where you have to play these players, and you're wondering what they can do. Where in the regular season, you could have played them, and you kind of have a better idea of what they can do. And when you do put them in during the playoffs, you're not feeling as garbage about it. And the Knicks simply ran out of gas. I just don't know. I know they got Karl Anthony Towns in a trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves, but what's going on, Philip?
Man, surprise show. Surprise
show. Yep. Good to see you on here as we're talking a little bit about the NBA. But yeah, I don't really see the Knicks doing too much either, as long as the rotation is shortened. 2 other teams that I'll point out real quick, Patrick, from the hype train. One is the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, the other is the Philadelphia 76ers. And I just see both of those teams going nowhere fast. I mean, it's just...
And they are.
Yeah. With Philly,
when the Hawks handle you, there's a problem.
And this was something we talked about briefly during one of the shows when we touched on the NBA as it was starting up. Philadelphia bringing Paul George to the team, that's not really a needle mover, and he's in and out of the lineup already.
Yep.
Joel Embiid just came back from from an injury, and now you have Tyrese Maxey down for a week or about another couple weeks maybe with a hamstring. So that situation looks really bad in Philly. Now, a lot of season left. We'll see if they can get healthy, and if they are able to get healthy, then maybe they could put some things together. But I just don't see it because all three of the Maxey, I think, is pretty good. I think he's pretty solid, and he won't let the moment get the best out of him. I think Maxey's going to be out there to ball. But the other two, they faded, but they've shown they faded away.
Yeah,
completely faded.
Maxey goes up, and that's the thing about Maxey is, I remember several years back we were like, I remember me and you talking about it, and it's like, man, he's going to be the star of that team in a couple of years. And you were like, yeah, he wasn't that good at that time, but he wasn't afraid of the moment.
Yeah.
And when you see that in a person, when you see that in a player, he's not afraid of the moment. Man, it's just like, okay, yeah, I can see him moving in that direction. And then several years later, he owned the moment. We were like, there he is. That's the moment you have to wait for. Yeah, he's not afraid of it. Can he own it? And when he does, what does he do with it? And he owned it. And when he owned it, he took over that team. And I'm with you. But where does Paul George go that he moves a needle? Honestly, I don't see a place where he goes.
I just think a lot of people hype him up.
Needle at home.
Well, I think a lot of people hype him up like he is that needle mover, and he's not.
He's just not. But I mean, like I said, send him home. He'll move the needle there.
Send him home.
That's where he needs to go. He needs to go home. But he's just not that player. I mean, I could probably be, to all jokes aside about it, I mean, I can see him going to like the Pelicans, and he can make him probably a vast improvement there because they don't have that type of player there. Or maybe even Portland. Now that Dame Time's not there, you can probably go to Portland and move it there. But who wants to go to Portland? Portland doesn't even want to be in Portland right now. So, I mean, there's a couple of places that he could go, but nobody's going to be willing to flip that ticket for him to go there. So I don't see anywhere where he is going to move that needle in a positive direction. So with all that, nobody's going to dump Boston off. Boston, to me, I think Boston has the Eastern Conference Finals. It's theirs to lose.
Yeah, and Milwaukee, man, I just
what
feel
a fall from grace.
Yeah, I feel like Giannis, he's doing all he can, but the team is older now. They have a lot of assets going into Giannis and Damian Lillard.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really no way to improve that team. You can't go out and say, hey, let's try to do a trade or let's see if we can sign someone real quick off of free agency. So like at least a good rotational player or something like that. Milwaukee just looks like a team that's doomed. And I mean, what's going on, Aaron?
What's up, Aaron?
Special Friday morning. It's Friday morning. I even on the East Coast, it's still Friday. On morning.
Yeah, Charles, it is. You should know that.
But
our host don't even know what day it is.
I do. I said Friday. I just didn't know if it was Friday morning or Friday afternoon. And then I looked at the clock. It's still 11, so it's still morning. The Bucks are they're in some trouble. And then they have Doc Rivers as a coach, so you're in trouble right there.
Doc Rivers had his time, and the Bucks are just old. It's like they're like the New York Jets. I call them the retirement home because they just really need to just retire all those old people and get some young blood in there.
Aaron's talking about the Bucks. Firing Mike Budenholzer and then letting Drew Holiday go.
Hey, and don't get me wrong, Budenholzer was the Hawks for several years, and the turnaround he did in Atlanta was amazing. And then we fired him, and I was like, no, he had one bad season at the beginning, took us to the playoffs several times, and then had one bad season because we traded everybody off. I was like, and then they fired him, and I'm like, well, no, I know what you mean about Budenholzer, man. He's a good coach, and he knows what he's doing. But
so Aaron says he would have traded Chris before Drew. So he's talking about Chris Middleton, and Chris Middleton, he's another one. He can't stay healthy. Yep. He is always hurt now. When he was in there, when the Bucks made that run to the NBA title, I mean, Middleton was a beast there. And you remember those questions before they won that title about Chris Middleton, Patrick. A lot of people was wondering, could he be the good complement to Giannis in terms of that guy who can come in there if Giannis doesn't quite have it going? Can Chris Middleton be the guy to take over? And he did. During that run, he was crucial for their success, and he has not been able to stay on the court at all. So Aaron mentioned Nate McMillan. Of course, he was the coach of the Hawks for a little bit when they went on that run. Actually, the Bucks beat them in the Eastern Conference Finals that year. And Nick Nurse, they said, he's there with Philly, but I just don't like that mix they have with Philly. Philly is
Philly it feels like Philly is just throwing a bunch of things against the wall to see what sticks, and that's just not a recipe for anything. I mean, it's a recipe for a 2-9 start. But that's it.
And you know how it goes, Patrick. The season is peaks and valleys, so there'll be a time where Philly does actually have all three of these guys on the court together, and they're going to go on a little run.
Yep.
And because it's the 76ers and you have Paul George and Joel Embiid on the team, they're going to get some hype. They're going to get there. People are going to talk about them and ask, is this the Philly team we were expecting? Don't fall for it, y'all. Don't fall for it. There's just too many question marks with Philadelphia, and until they actually show they can make a run to at least the Eastern Conference Finals, don't buy that hype.
Yeah,
not do it. I will say this real quick before going on to the Western Conference. The championship, if you are any of those people out there who are superstitious and like to follow trends, there is a trend out there. The last 3 champions have not made it past the semifinals the next year. So, mention Milwaukee when they won in 2021. They got knocked off by the Celtics in the Eastern Conference semis. The Golden State Warriors won it in 2022. They got knocked off by the Lakers in the Western Conference semis. And then last year, the Denver Nuggets got knocked out in the Western Conference semis by the Timberwolves. So if you are one of those people who follow those trends, that is saying the Boston Celtics will somehow get knocked out in the Eastern Conference semifinals. I don't see that trend. But I'm saying if you are one of those people.
Hey, if it happens, I hope Atlanta knocks them off.
Well,
we beat them earlier. We beat them earlier in the season, so I don't.
Y'all beat them Tuesday, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, we beat them Tuesday.
Well, let's head on over to the Western Conference, where you mentioned the depth in the East. Depth is not a problem in the Western Conference. The West has a lot of teams in there who are right now playing above 500, and the Dallas Mavericks were the team, as we mentioned earlier, who represented the Western Conference in the NBA Finals. So looking at the standings, you have the OKC Thunder. They're sitting at 10-2, and they are without Chet Holmgren for the next, it looks like, couple of months. I think something with his lower body, hip, leg, or something. Yeah. But he's going to be out for a couple of months. But right there behind them is the Golden State Warriors, man. I've seen them. They've been playing some good ball. Steph Curry, man, but ageless wonder is Steph Curry. And
I can see that guy playing at 80.
yeah, right. The way he plays, yeah. I mean, the dude, and still just hitting dagger threes like he did the other night against those Mavericks. Yeah. First round, I think, of the Emirates Cup there. And then the Suns are 9-3. The Nuggets, always a threat. They're sitting at 7-3. How about the Houston Rockets at 8-4?
I hadn't seen them. I hadn't seen them in contention in years, dude. Yeah. Actually kind of nice.
They have a good young team there. And of course, you have Ime Udoka coaching them. And of course, he was the coach. Chet Holmgren, yeah, he does need some milk. I just got to catch these comments. Yeah, Chet Holmgren he probably needs a soul food meal too. He's great. I mean, Chet Holmgren is great, but yeah, he probably got to put some weight on him. You know,
another probably guy, need 35, 40 pounds, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Was he 115?
Yeah, but soaking wet.
120.
Yeah. And then another dude who needs to put some weight on him is Victor Wembanyama, but Wembanyama is so good.
Dude, you know what? I said the same thing, and then I watched him do his little, and I was like, you know what? Just do what you do. Yeah. Just do what you do. Everybody's like slapping at the ball, and he's just holding it above their head, and just like, and I'm like, no. Just do what you do. Just do what you do.
So good, man. So, of course, as y'all know, so I'm here in DC, and the Wizards played the Spurs the other night down in San Antonio. And I mean, this dude, he's hitting step back threes, and he's 7'4", 7'5", but he's hitting
help though. He does.
Yes, this dude is hitting step back threes. I mean, he's taking the ball to the hoop from the 3-point line. He hit one damn near from the Spurs logo.
Didn't he? I think a couple of nights ago he had like 46 points. Youngest kid to have 46 points in a single game.
That was that game against the Wizards. Yeah, as a matter of fact, shoot, he hit over 50 in that game. That dude. Man.
He's balling, but he needs some help, dude. I mean, like, San Antonio ain't going to amount to anything if he's the only one that's on the team. I mean, like, he's the only one that can score.
They have young players, but they need to develop. I mean, like you said, they got Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, a couple of those young players who have been with the Spurs for a little bit. They do need more, absolutely. Yeah. So I remember I was having a conversation with my dad. Of course, my parents, they're down in San Antonio. And my dad was talking to me about Wemby. And he said, well, shoot, they should start competing for something this year. I don't really see it. Now, I think the Spurs they can contend for a play-in. Mm-hmm. I think they can reasonably contend for a play-in spot this year. I think next year they're able to get a few players in there and the younger guys around them, like Johnson and Vassell, develop around them. Mm-hmm. Now they can start to make some strides. Because, I mean, Wembanyama is nasty. I mean, that dude.
If they make a playoff bid, like you said, if they get into that play-in, if they could just get a little bit more experience for those young kids next year, that's a lot of times that's all you need is you just need a taste. You just need a taste of playoff. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I got to have that again. So I need to make sure, and that's when you start seeing those young kids really start like developing because they're like, I got to get there again. That's what I've been wanting. That's what I've been looking for. But I mean, at most, that's all they're going to get. Because if these kids if they're not able to step up into that role, I don't see it this year. Like I agree with you. I don't see it this year. But if they could get some playoff experience, sorry, it's lunchtime. I'm about to listen to some Eminem. But if they could get some experience, definitely with some playoff experience going into next year, the Spurs might be a hard team to beat, and they can make a lot of noise in that Western Conference.
It's just so tough, Patrick. I mean, it's that Western Conference is loaded, man.
Mhm.
But I'm with you. I mean, the Spurs can definitely next year. I don't think it would be unrealistic to say they could be a top 16 with Wemby playing and a few younger players coming in there.
I mean, they're 10th right now. I could see them at where the Rockets or the Lakers are at right now come this time next year.
Yeah.
And later into the year. I could definitely see them in that top 6, top 5. But, you know, they're going to have to ball because nothing's easy in the Western Conference.
And you say, and the thing is, we're saying that, but the Spurs are sitting here at 6-6, and the Rockets are 8-4. So I mean, they're
they're not far off.
Right now, yeah.
So
right now, hey, it's kind of right there for the taking.
Yeah, I mean, hey, let's pull an ESPN. If the playoffs were to start today,
they'd be in the play-in.
So, I think they're right where they need to be. We're good.
Exactly where we're saying they will be at the end of this year. So hey, man, we're right on the money with the ESPN Next Gen stats.
Yeah. Well, we gotta call it BOFA Sports Next Gen to the Next Gen stats. Yeah. we ain't playing all that. We're going double gen. Double gen stats. That's what we'll call it. And we have a shot of gen every time we say it. Ooh.
So Patrick, if that's the case, then we gotta start bringing up things like, look, if he decides to walk to the left instead of the right, their win percentage goes up.
Oh, yeah. Or if he takes a dunk this morning at 10:30 opposed to 10:32, they have a 60% better chance of winning tonight opposed to tomorrow night, especially if the moon is up full opposed to half, and then the sun sets to the west. 33 degrees. Dude, if all of that happens, the San Antonio Spurs will be 6. I'm telling you, they'll be 6 with those next gen to the next gen, double gen stats.
Yeah, you talk about
BOFA Sports, double gen stats.
You talk about stars aligning. But yeah, I mean, just looking at the team. So a team that is interesting to me is, let's see here. You talk about how about the so
Aaron, don't get me on a rant, dude.
Look, Aaron, we'll say this: the Bronny James experience is it's going like it probably should. He was going to be in there for a few games in the league to play with LeBron, who of course is his dad, and then he was going to go to the G League. He has to out here. And so so now he's in the G League. He needs to develop. I don't think it's a secret about him being ready to play at the pro level. He wasn't ready to play at the pro level.
He wasn't ready to play at the college level.
Yeah, and you know, and the thing is with him, so he was there at USC. He had the cardiac arrest episode, so that took away some moments where he could get some valuable college time. Because I mean, look, we know he was going to go, and he was going to go pro after a year anyway. We know that was going to happen. But he didn't play half of the year. So now he decides he's going to go out. Of course, with LeBron being his father, he was going to get drafted by the Lakers. They took the 2nd round pick on him. And now he's in the G League. So, I mean, I think it's going exactly how, if you were logical about it, we'll say that.
Yeah.
If you were thinking logically about this, he was going to be in the G League soon after. You get the historic moments.
Yeah.
Father son being on the court together. It's history, it's nostalgia,
As
and
a fourth
now
father and son that has been on the court together, and now they got the most points as a father son, and truthfully, Bron had all of the points. It was, again, like Charles said, it's just a history thing. They wanted to put everybody in a Laker uniform. Oh, look, my son plays for the NBA. Okay, now get your ass to the G League and get out of my way, because I gotta try to win a championship and you suck.
so
They're not
yeah.
winning a championship, by the way.
So yeah, so that experiment is going exactly how, if you were being logical about it, that's how it was going to go. There's going to be a few moments, a few touching moments. Now, G League develop, and when the time comes, if and when the time comes, we could call you up for depth purposes. You can get a little bit of work in there. But I mean, he's going to be in the G League for a little while.
Did they let Dalton? Is Dalton still on the team, or did he go to the G League?
No. Dalton Connect is on there. Dalton Connect is
that dude is ruthless.
Yeah, that dude's a player. That dude is good. I remember seeing him at Tennessee, and
I hated watching him at Tennessee. I kept telling there, I was like yelling at the screen, "Push him left, push him left," and Georgia let him go right, and I'm like, "Y'all suck."
So, but he's good, and he's going to be a good rotational player for them. He can come off the bench and be a spark for that second unit. So I think he's perfect where he's at right now.
Yeah.
But the Memphis Grizzlies are interesting to me, because now we know the story with Memphis. They have health issues as well. Like Ja Morant is out again right now. We'll see when he comes out. They said he can come back maybe in the next week or two. And maybe if he can stay healthy, Memphis has a team there. I mean, with him, you got Marcus Smart, you got Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane. They have some players on Memphis. And if they're able to stay healthy, I think they're just as dangerous as anybody else. I love what the Mavericks did in bringing Klay Thompson over there. So I think they're going to start gelling here in a little bit. They're starting off a little bit slow, but I think Dallas will get it together come January and February. Denver,
figure him out. And once they do, they're going to utilize him. They'll utilize him and he'll be a top player in the West.
Zach Edey, yeah, and the Memphis does have Zach Edey too. Now, if he can develop in the middle, look out for Memphis with that as well. Because I think he can be pretty good. If he gets the time to develop. I mean, now teams are going to pick and roll them to death when he's out there, because they're going to be looking for those switches and those isolation moments. So that could be a little bit of a liability for the time being. But if Zach can just do it, look, if he can just rebound and defend, he's going to be very valuable to them.
Yep.
But
if he would do just what Jared Allen's doing.
Yeah. Yep. He can, just rebound, defend, be a deterrent at the rim, get the rebounds, you clean things up. He can be that dude for them, like you said. Denver, always a threat when you have the dude who has won 3 out of the last 4 MVPs in Nikola Jokic. You're always a factor. Jamal Murray still on the team. So is Aaron Gordon and MPJ, Michael Porter Jr. I mean, Denver's still going to be a threat in the West. And Minnesota, they're interesting to me because, so we mentioned the Karl Anthony Towns trade. I don't know if Minnesota should have did that. I could see why they did that, only because you still have Rudy Gobert, and those two playing together, I don't know if that was a mix. It was kind of like what we were talking about with the Bulls when they
They
had,
always fought.
huh?
They were always fighting.
It just didn't. It wasn't. It didn't seem like it was a good mix. And so I mean, they made it work well enough, I guess, to get to the Western Conference Finals last year. But I just don't know how sustainable that was. And I guess they decided they would let Karl Anthony Towns go and bring in Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo to the team. So that could work out. I don't know. I don't know if Minnesota is capable of making another run to the Western Conference Finals. I don't know. It just seems like something is off about them right now. I mean, look, I Anthony Edwards is a beast. Really like Anthony Edwards. But I don't know if that mix is going to.
That mix will. Time will only tell with that mix, because, like you said, you got Julius Randle there and you got Edwards there, and to me, those are two of the same players. And I don't know how that's going to affect, because honestly I don't even know what their starting five is right now. So I mean I'm only assuming of what I would assume, but I don't know. It's just that one is only a time will tell. I would like to see that Minnesota team mid to late January and see where they're at then. And only then will I be able to say, okay, I can see this or I can see that. And maybe this will be a conversation that we'll touch back on after the first of the year and maybe into early February to see where that Minnesota team is, because a lot of the things that they did, I don't know. I want to say that was a bad move with Towns, but then I'm like, maybe it was a good move. I don't know.
Aaron is right about it. Anthony Edwards, he does talk trash all the time.
I love him.
Some of that is really funny, man, because they caught him on. I guess he was mic'd up one game. This was during the Western Conference Finals, and he was talking about one of the shots Luka Doncic hit, and he said, "Bro," and I'm paraphrasing here. He said, "Bro, you see that dude sitting over there by the half court line? Yeah, Luka shot that from there, bro." I'm like, I went underneath the screen. I didn't think he was gonna shoot it. He shot that, bro, and he hit it. Like, what do you do about that?
Nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do.
It's so funny hearing him talk about that. But the Western Conference is super, super loaded. And do you think so? We both have Boston still coming out of the East. Do you see the Mavericks coming out of the West or somebody else?
I honestly, I kind of see somebody else. I mean, and I said this last year, if this team could stay healthy throughout the entire season, I kind of felt that the Thunder would probably, I felt that they were 1 year away. So as good as Dallas could be, I honestly, I don't see them coming out of the West. I kind of see, I was throwing a throw up between Denver and OKC.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I can see one of those two teams leaning more toward OKC.
Me too.
Right now, because I just think just a young.
They're young, and they just needed experience, and they got all the experience they needed last year. Personal opinion. I think they got all the experience they need, and I think they're going to make a huge run in a deep run, and possibly be OKC versus Boston. Obviously we'll make our picks for that later, but if it was me and I'm having to pick today, I would probably pick Boston versus OKC.
And OKC, they're very deep. They go pretty solidly 10 deep off their bench. And keep an eye on the move that they made. So this is a sneaky good move. But remember, they got Alex Caruso in the trade with the Bulls, and that provides some veteran presence. Although Caruso's not really that old himself, but He provides defense, provides toughness, and I think with what he brings, it just falls in perfectly to what OKC has with SGA, with Jalen Williams, with Chet Holmgren, and those other dudes. So, yeah, I'm with you. I lean more toward OKC coming out of the West. So, before we go, Patrick, there's a couple of things that are happening this week. And we'll talk a little bit about the NHL. That might be another special we hit.
Next week.
Yeah. So, but there's a couple of fights that are happening this weekend for you fight fans out there.
Yeah.
Tonight you have. I'm trying hard not to call this a sideshow or a circus, but you have.
But it's what it is.
Yeah. You have Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is 58 years old. And the press conference or the weigh-in and all that yesterday happened. Mike Tyson slapped Jake Paul. You always wonder how staged all this stuff is. But
with Mike Tyson, that wasn't staged.
Yeah. Mike had to slap somebody. Yeah, so maybe this one was not. But man, this fight is happening down in Texas, down in AT&T Stadium, for a matter of fact. So I don't know.
Here's my opinion on it, and then I'll let it rest. It's a sideshow for everybody but Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is coming out to kill that dude.
Yes, he is. Yes, Mike Tyson is serious.
Jake Paul, on the other hand, he's like, we'll see. Okay, well, hold on. It's not how that was supposed to go.
Yeah, you're right. Mike Tyson's coming out to do some damage, and I mean, I root for it. I mean,
I hope Mike Tyson beat the shit out of him, to be honest with you.
Oh boy. And then on the UFC end, you have John Jones coming back to fight Stipe Miocic, and that fight is Saturday in New York. So I don't know. It's a good fight weekend, Aaron. No, so Aaron, this fight will be happening in the evening, so they won't have to worry about no sun shining through the windows there.
Well, and then again, Mike Tyson might get beat up because his bedtime is 7:30. So.
Yeah. Oh boy! So a quick reference to the curtains. In the game on Sunday with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys, the sun always shines through that window, that west side of the window, or the west side of the stadium down there, at this time around when the sun's about to set. And there was a play where CeeDee Lamb was trying to catch a touchdown pass, but he could not see because of the light coming through from the sun. And I guess they were asking him, do curtains need to go up? And he said 1,000%. Of course, Jerry Jones is like, nah, man, we positioned it that way because it provides home field advantage. I'm like, Jerry, oh gosh, go, you know what? Go have a good time somewhere.
You don't have time to have a bad time.
Because man, you're looking like a guy who has lost touch.
Dude, Jerry Jones, man.
Well, Patrick, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna hop on off, man. That will conclude this BOFA Sports special tonight, and that is what we are breathing on for this morning. So, y'all make sure y'all visit the BOFA Sports YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, and follow the BOFA Sports Facebook page. So, everybody, we're glad for the people who come on there. Philip, Aaron, thanks for interacting with us, catching this special. And this is something we may be doing a little bit more as we go forward. Just popping on a Friday morning or whatever morning, just to do a special talk about some of the things we might not have been able to hit during the original webcast on Tuesday evenings. So just be on the lookout. If you're able to catch us, by all means, come in, interact with us. We love the interaction, and we're all about the feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. So until next time, everybody take care. And before we go, Patrick, anything else coming up for Pro Epic?
Oh, one thing. Go and subscribe to the channel, because so we have a PlayStation 5 giveaway that we're doing. I introduced it yesterday on Instagram. So once we hit a certain threshold, we're giving away a PlayStation 5. So go and check out Bro Epic and subscribe to the channel so we can get you in for a drawing.
All right. Yes. So, man, who wouldn't want to win a PlayStation 5? You know what I'm saying? So,
I'm fixing to introduce it on YouTube, and I'm fixing to do it on TikTok. So we're doing a PlayStation 5 giveaway for all three. So it's not just Instagram.
Patrick Aaron said, say hi to Russell Williamson for him.
Dude, me and Russell Williamson are homies, dude. Homies now. He's like, somebody finally got my name right. And I was like, you're welcome, dude.
So everybody take it easy. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the sports that is going on. And we will talk to you on Tuesday evening. So take care, y'all. Enjoy the weekend.